Dear friends, today we are going to cover the chapter on plotting. So, as we have mentioned in our previous recording, that Matlab is one of the best in doing the 2D and 3D plots, and it can be widely used for the engineering one. So, whenever we want to see the results in the form of a 2D or a much more attractive way, then Matlab is the best software. So in this chapter, we are going to cover all the topics for the plotting. So initially, we are going to cover the 2D plot, then 3D plot, and how to use the subplot. So these things we will cover in this chapter. So let's begin. So I would like to share the screen to show what we are going to cover in this chapter. Okay. All right, so as you can see, this chapter is on plotting, and we will cover the main topics that will be in the plotting, so all the user can be easily draw the plots. So some of the main topics that we are going to cover here is how to create and label two-dimensional plots. So you can give the number x, values of the x, values of the y, how to label the x label, y label, how to give the title, and how to add more features into the plot. How you can change the appearance of the plot, how you can use the different colors into it. And then there are a few other good things in Matlab that in one frame you can have a number of plots. So not only one plot, you can have 3 or 4 graphs in one frame. So that is called subplot. So that one we will cover into the later on. We will also show in this presentation how you can make the 3D plot, and you can do the 3D plot in using the subplot plus using number of features. What are the 3D different plots that you can do it. Okay. All right, so first of all, we would like to cover the 2D plot, in which you will learn the command. So plot. So in Matlab, whenever you want to draw the x and y value in the form of plot, you need to use the command plot. Then there is a, if you want to label x label. So here you can see you need to write down x label and whatever text you want, single quote and text. So whatever title or you want to give on the x label, then you just make a single quote and this one you can write down. So same like the y label, title. One more thing you can remember is when we write the x label, it is a small x label, y label, and title title. So as these are given into the small alphabets, so you need to use the same. You cannot make it the first one as the capital, then you will not get it. And grid on, grid off are a few other things. Whenever you want the lines into the graph, you can use the grid on, grid off. Then is a figure. So we will cover these things. So let's see the first example. So the first example that I want to show you is you can write down these commands in your Matlab. So x value 0 is to 5 is to 50, y 0 is to 2 is to 20, plot xy, x label, y label, title, grid on, and these things. So what you need to do is you open the Matlab and you can write down either into the directly command window if you want to write down all these commands into the command window, but I prefer to do it into the script file. So I will show you the script file. Okay, so another screen I want to share is of the Matlab. So I would like to show you the program in how you can write down the coding into the script file and how you can run the program. So I would like to share the screen on the Matlab. So Matlab is here, you can see. So you can see that whatever codes I have shown you in the PowerPoint, so the same program you need to write down in the script file. As I have mentioned that you can write down the program directly into the command window and can run. It will run in the same way, but the problem is you cannot save the program in the command window. That's why I always prefer to write the program into the script file. So the same program we have written, x is equal to 0 is to 5 is to 50. So we want the value of x from 0 to 50 with an increment of 5, so 0, 5, 10, 50. If you want to see the use of colon operator, is like x equals to 0 is to 5 is to 50. Then enter. Then it will write down 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, all the values. So whenever we want to write down some numbers, we can use the colon operator. The first value 0 is the initial value, the last value, and how much increment you want. So 0, so we want the increment of 5. So 0, 5, 10, 15, 20 like this one. For y value, the same thing we have written. We have written y is equal to 0 is to 2 is to 20. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, the values are created. Because for getting any graph, you need to have the x and y value. So we have generated the x and y value by using the colon operator. Then we have written the plot x comma y, and then same thing, x label, y label, title, grid on because we want the lines, and the last one is the axis. Axis is by default Matlab will fix the axis. It will have the initial value of the 0 and then the final value. But if we want to control the axis, we need to give that how much is the initial value, how much is the final value of x. Then second is how much is the initial value of the y and final value of the y. So once you have written this program into the script file, then click the run button. So it will say add to the path, then you will get. Okay. All right, so to see the graph, I need to share the screen for the graph. Okay, so you will see the graph like this one that is saying Matlab graph is the title we have given to the graph. Then we have written here x-axis on the x value, y-axis, and these are the numbers here. So here you can see that we have written the grid on. So grid on means these lines are coming into the graph. If you write on grid off, then these lines will disappear. So to draw the graph in Matlab is quite simple. You just give the value of the x, give the value of the y, then say plot. Plot is the function to do the 2D plot, give the value of x comma y, then declare what title you want. Whatever title you want, you write down in a single quote, then the title, then for the same x label, you write down into the single quote, y label, and if you want to change, if you want the line grid, grid on, if you don't want, then grid off, and is the axis. Axis is the last part because by default Matlab have the setting that it will set the x-axis and y-axis by their own. But if you want to set the x-axis or y-axis by your own value, you can give value. You don't want to start with a 0, you want the minimum value 5 and the maximum value 30. Then y-axis you want 4 and the maximum value whatever. So you can give the minimum and maximum to the axis and Matlab can do it. Same way, there are a few other things. Here on the screen, you can see one rotation button. So when you click this rotation button, then the Matlab, the graph you can rotate all around. So you cannot see much changes into the 2D figure, but when you are doing the 3D later on, when we will cover the 3D section, then you can see that this 3D button is quite useful to see all the axes in a three-dimensional view. So you can move around the 3D. It looks quite beautiful when we move around, and you can see all the things. There are a few other buttons like is zoom, zoom in, zoom out. So zoom in is if you want some value to zoom in. So you can click, the line can keep on focusing on the zoom in button. And then zoom out is opposite to it. You can bring back the graph. So suppose if you have a lot of numbers and the graph is too big, you want to focus on a particular area, then you say zoom in or zoom out. So at that time you can use it. So here you can see in this section, you have seen how you can do the simple plot in Matlab, how you can write down the x-axis, y-axis, grid. You can bring the lines by using a grid on and the axis part. In the second part, we will cover the other portion of the plotting. Okay, so now we can start another section of the plotting. In the first part of plotting, we have seen how you can do the x and y 2D graph, how you can write down the x title, x-axis, y-axis, grid on, and how you can change the scale of the graph. Now in this section, we will see how we can have a different patterns and different color of lines. By default, if you give Matlab to draw a graph, it will be a blue color and all will be of the same pattern, and by default setting it will have blue or black or something like this one. But suppose if we have 2 or 3 data and we want the different colors, different pattern in the graph, same like what we can do in the Excel. So in Matlab also we can select the different pattern of the graph. So in this section we are going to cover how you can have the different patterns of the graph. So let's see. First of all, I would like to share the screen. Okay. All right, so in this section, we are going to cover that how you can change the line, different color, line pattern, color, and mark style. If you want to know more about what are the different things you can do in Matlab, then you can try to write down in the command window, help and plot. So then you can see a lot of files will open. You can click the PDF file and other files, and you will see a lot of things that you can do in the Matlab. Okay, in this slide, you can see that Matlab is not as dynamic like Excel that you can select any color, any pattern. So there are limitations in the Matlab. So there are suppose 4 choices for the line type. So you can have a solid, you can have the dotted line, dash and dot, and dash dash. So these are the 4 line pattern that you can select. So solid, that mark, dotted, you can have dash and dot and dash dash. Now pointer, you can have a different kind of pointer. There are a lot of variations available here. Point, circle, X mark, plus, star, square, S, D, V, all these patterns. And then there are nearly 7 colors you can select. If you want the line to be a blue color, just write B. green color G, red color R, cyan, magenta, and yellow. So all these for black color K. So out of these pattern, you need to select that what pattern you want your line in the Matlab graph. Okay, the way you need to code is you need to write down plot x comma y, then single quote. First you need to give the line time, you want the colon or dash dash or whatever line, then pattern O, and then last is the color. K stand for the black color. So as we have seen in the previous slide that you can use the plot. So plot x comma y. So you can have a normal plot. But if you want the pattern, then in a single quote, first of all, you need to give the line pattern, dash dash, dot dot, whatever. Then this one's the O or X mark, whatever things you want. And then the last is the color, K for black, R for red, and different color pattern. So this is the way you need to write down the pattern. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, that dot dot means use a dotted line. O means use a circle to mark each point. Letter K indicates that the graph should be drawn in black. Okay, so we will see one example. So I would like to share the screen for the Matlab, how we can write down the program. If we want the same thing into the Matlab, how we are going to do it. So share. Okay. So now here in this program, you can see that like the previous example that we have X value varies from 0 to 50 with an increment of 5. Then Y, you can choose any number. For just randomly, I have written. Okay, first we will see this example. So X value is 0 to 50. Then Y is 0, 23, 33, any numbers. I have just randomly selected all these numbers. So you can select these numbers are different. So at the, what I want is there are 10 numbers in X. So we need to have the 10 marks numbers into the Y, then plot X comma Y. Then this is the same thing that as we have seen in the previous slide, that the colon, this pattern, O pattern, then K black color, and X level, Y level, title, and most of the things are same like the previous slide. So once you have written these things into the script file, then click the run button. Okay, so now I would like to share the screen for the graph, that how the graph looks like in this one. Okay, so here you can see that you got the x-axis, y-axis, and the title. Then there is a line, there's a dotted pattern, and these are the circle as we have written in our program. We want like a 0 or O circle, so these circles are coming out, and we have written K. K stands for the black color. So here you can see that whatever things you want, then you can get on the graph. And so you can have a circle, dotted line, plus the black color. One more thing I would like to focus here is there are few more features into the Matlab to change the way you have written the x-axis, y-axis, and Matlab graph. So on the window, you can go to the edit, then you say figure properties. All right. So in the figure properties, there are two ways you can change the things that you have written into the x-axis, y-axis, and title. One is you can write down in your coding into the script file that you want whatever you want to write down on the X, Y, and title. Another way is you can just double click on the x-axis. So suppose I want to change it. So I want to write down x like length, L-E-N-G, it's length. Okay. Then you can also change the style. You can see at the bottom there is a window. There you can change the different pattern, line, width you want. You want to change the width. Then you want to change the edge color. Any color you can select. Then you want to change the background color. Any color. Then you want to change the text or the size of the text, and then the normal. So what I want to say here is there you can change all the length, all the access things into the script file. And if you want to change the things, you can also directly go to the graph and change the things. You can change on the y-axis. You double click on the y-axis, then the window will open. It will ask you what line style, line width, color, text, font, whatever things you want to change. And then you can go to the title also and it will change. So there are two ways of doing the things. One is you can write down into the Matlab coding part, then you can see. Then once you want to change in the graph figure, you can go to the figure, change the figure properties, and then you can select. Because sometimes, like for my own purpose, I want to print this graph. So I want to change all the font size and the color pattern so it will look much better. Then I can copy into the PowerPoint. So at that time I need to make all the changes. Or if you are using the Matlab for your thesis or any of the project, then you want to print it into your document, then you want to make all the changes so that it can appear much better. Okay, so this one, the first part was you can change the single line, you can make the circle, dash, dot, whatever things you want into the figure. So now one more example we want to see to see the different color and pattern. So we can go again to the Matlab window. So we want to see another example. In this example, we want to choose 3 lines. So we have X and Y, which we want to the colon, 0 sign and black color. Then we want another line, which is X comma Y multiplied by 2 and X mark dash dash red color. And the third line is blue color. So we want to create 3 lines, 3 different colors, 3 different patterns. Rest of the program is still the same. X label, Y label, title, rest of the things the same. So here we can see that if you have a lot of data, X value or different Y value or different variables, you want to have all these variables in a different color pattern, then you can do it. So this program you can write down into the script file, make the changes into this line, and then you run the program. So to share the screen for the graph, that how the graph will look like. Okay. All right. So here you can see that you got the graph, you have the 3 different lines. The first line is dash dash, X pattern is written and it is red color. Then the second line is the black color and third line is the blue color. So in the same, so this graph is for you if you have a lot of data, 3 or 4 data, and you want to give lines different color and pattern so people can understand, then you can draw and you can use the different color and style to show all the different parts. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, that if you want to change the title, X, Y axis, font size and everything, then you go to the edit and then figure properties, And from the figure properties, you can go to the, you can double click on the x-axis. You want to change the this one font size, you can make it 20. You can change the background color. You can make a background color like slightly gray. Then edge color if you want to change, and line width and all these things you can change. You can make the changes. Same thing, you can make the changes in the y-axis. If you want to rename the y-axis, then you can say suppose width, width, and then you can change all the properties of this one and the title also. So Matlab give us the option to make all these changes. You don't need to do all the changes into when you write the program, but once you got the graph, you can make the changes and then you can copy the figure and use it in your document. So in this section, our aim was to see how you can use the different pattern of colors and different pattern of line to depict our data in a much better form. So it will be much more attractive when we are presenting in our thesis or project or any other part. Okay, hello guys. We are going to cover another section of plotting that is called the subplot. Actually, subplot is quite important. And by using this command in the plotting, you can have more than one graph in single frame. So till this time, we have seen how to draw single graph, then how to draw two or three lines in the same graph. And now we are going to see that in a single frame, how you can have a multiple graph. You can achieve a number of plots in single frame by using the subplot. So in this section, I would like to tell how you can do the coding for the subplot. Let's share the screen for the okay. All right. So first of all, we need to understand how you can do the coding for the subplot. So the word you need to write down is subplot, then is the number of rows, number of column, and position. So suppose you got one single frame. This is one single frame, and you want to have 4 pictures or 4 graph in one frame. So you need to decide that how many rows you need to divide. So M stands for number of rows. So suppose this is a single frame and we want to divide this one into 2 rows. So this one is a 1 row and this one is the second row. Then second N stands for column. How many column you want to divide? So we want to divide into 2 columns. So this is first column and second column. So when you have 2 rows and 2 columns, then you can have 4 pictures. So the third item in the subplot stands for the position of the graph. Because suppose if you have 4 graphs, you need to tell each graph the position where it will be presented or where it will be depicted. So the fourth one is the position. So it is quite simple. You decide how many pictures or you want to do. So first of all, you need to say how many rows. In this case, if we want the 4 pictures, we say 2 rows, first and second. Second is the column. How many columns? So 2 columns. So total we got 4 position for 4 pictures. So the third one is the position. So here you can see you need to write down subplot 2 to 1. So the first picture will come in the first position. Subplot 2 to 2 will come second position, then the third position, then the fourth position. So very simple. You decide how many frame you want. On that basis, you write down and you can declare the position. Now in another example, we can also merge. Suppose you want one picture, one big picture in the top, and third and fourth is a small size. If you want to merge, then you put the first colon to first and second. So it will merge first and second on this one rows, and it will make the frame for the big picture, and third and fourth will be the still same. So it is comparatively easy, and you can better understand when we will do some examples for the subplot. So let's see some examples for the subplot. So we'll go to the Matlab program. Okay, so we will see first of all the example for the uh, subplot. Okay, this is the same example which we have done earlier for our previous slides and previous graph. So what we have done is the value of x is still same, 0, 5, 50. Y is, you can put the 10, 11 values, 0, 23, any random values you can put. Then we want to have two graphs, subplot 1 and subplot 2. Okay, so here we can see that we want only two pictures or two graphs in this example. So we can see here that we have divided the one frame into two rows and one column. So it will have two rows and one column. So we can have two pictures. The first picture will come into the first position, and the second one will come into the second one. And then first of all, you need to write down subplot 2 to 1. Then what you want to draw, x comma y. We want this one with a colon, circle, pattern, and black color. You can put any x label, y label, and title. The second one is you need to define what position you want to put the graph. So we will say 2, 1, 2. And then the value x comma y2, so it will multiply y with number 2, so it will create another variable. We want dash dash x pattern and red color. So it is a simple program, same like the previous one, but you need to have two figures. So we have just created the first figure with the x into y, another figure with x multiply y by 2, and then just give some x label, y label, and title. So we will run the program. Okay, now we will see that how the graph is coming. So we will go to the screen to see that how the figure is coming. Okay. Just I need to check. Okay, so we will share the screen. We'll share the screen for the computer is becoming slightly slow, but it's all right. Okay, so here on the screen, you can see you got two figure, first graph, x-axis, y-axis. This one is the dash dash line, O circle, black color. Then second is the dotted line, X pattern, red color. So this is the one frame, and we have decided 2, 1, 1. So there are two rows, the first row and the second row, and only one column. So we can draw two graphs. We can write down 2, 1, 1 if the first graph will come out, and then the 2, 1, 2 the second graph. So you can see that in a single frame we can see two graphs. So this one is an example of the subplot when we want to do two graphs. Okay, so we will now see how we can draw four graphs in a single frame. Okay, so we will see another example for the four graphs into the two. So here we can see This is still the same example, but because we want the 4 graphs, so we have written 2 rows and 2 columns. So it will create the position for the 4 graph, and then we can keep one graph into the each position. So that's why there is a change in the subplot 2 rows, 2 column. The first graph will come in the first position, second to the second, third and fourth. I have used the same numbers as our previous example, x comma y. This one is a black color O pattern. Then is a x comma y2 dot red pattern. Then I created 2 more figures because we need 4 figures into this example. So we say 2 to 3. I just multiply y with 4 and y with 6. So in this example, we got 4 graphs. So it is the same example, subplot 2 to 1, plot x comma y, then x comma y2, then x comma y4, y6. And you can keep any name in the x label, y label, title is free, whatever you want to write down. First graph for the second graph, third graph, and fourth graph. So this one is an example for the 4 subplot. So we can run the program and then we can see. So we can share the screen. I would like to share the screen for the graph. Okay. So here you can see that first graph, there are 4 graphs because we have divided into 2 matrix. So 2 rows and 2 columns. So the first graph is our black color line, then red color line, then green color line, and another one line. So there are total 4 lines into it. And then you can give any title for the x-axis, y-axis, and title. So it is simple. Whether we want 2 graph or 4 graph, or you want to merge 1 into 2, you can easily do it. Rest of the thing is still the same. If you want to edit the x-axis and y-axis, you can do that one changes, and you can change the size as I have given in the previous example. So all the tools still work into the subplot. Okay, so this one is another example for the subplot. Now I want to show you one more example for the subplot. Okay, so this is a simple program which you can also write down that x value 1, 2, 6, 8, 10, y value is equal to square bracket x comma 1:5. Then you can give subplot 2 to 1. We want to draw the bar diagram for x. Subplot 2 to 2, we want bar graph for y. Subplot 2 to 3, we want the 3-dimensional bar graph. And subplot 4, we want the pie chart. So in Matlab, there are a whole lot of options you can do. You can go for the bar X, bar Y, 3D bar, pie chart. If you can take any of the book, you can see a whole lot of options. So you can just write down and you can run the program. If you want, what you need to do is you can stop the video at this point and you can write down all this program into the script file just the same way as I have done, and then you can run the run button. Okay, so we can I will show you the figure for the how the 3D figure will come. All right, so here you can see that we got the four graphs. So this one is the first one is a bar graph of x, simple bar graph, then a bar graph for y, then is a 3-dimensional bar graph, and then there's a pie chart. And as I have mentioned you earlier that you can rotate the graphs you can click on the top. There's a one cursor, this one button. You can click the button, then you can rotate. So if I want to rotate the three-dimensional one, then I can rotate the three-dimensional graph. Okay. It depends if your computer is slow or fast, but you can rotate as you want. Same way, you can also rotate the 3D, this one pie chart into whatever form. So all the things, zoom in, zoom out, plus the rotations buttons are there. You can use it whenever you are analyzing the graph. So in this section, we have covered how to use the subplot. Subplot is quite an important command and the programming part of Matlab, because many times rather than having four graphs in one frame, we want to show all the four graphs. So that at that time you can use the subplot. So hopefully you can understand the subplot part. So in this video, I have covered the 2D, how you can do the plotting, simple plotting. Then if you have a number of data, then you have 3 or 4 data in a single frame or single figure. You can have a three lines, different color, different pattern. And then we have seen that how we can use the subplot in the single frame. You can have four graph, two graph, or even if you want to have the 9 graph, but normally people don't draw 9 graph, it becomes too much congested. So 2 and 4 are most commonly used into the Matlab. So I think in this section, I try to explain how you can do the plotting in Matlab and how you can utilize different commands, different color into the Matlab. Hope you understand all these things. In the next section, I will try to cover the 3D plotting that you can do into the Matlab. Thank you.